Music. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Here we go, we're live, and welcome to our final episode 5 of our startup program. This is your 90-day power plan to grow, win clients and drive revenue. If some of you have missed some of the earlier sessions, you'll be able to pick those up from Teams. So just contact us and we'll be able to send you those, setting up your business, getting your sales kicked off, sharing jobs on Team Exchange. If you haven't got revenue, you're in restrictive covenant, there's some great guidance with that. But I'm really pleased that we're closing this with one of our team's favorite mentors and coaches, Chris O'Connell from Base Mindset. Chris, thanks for joining us today. Well, a bit of an intro to you. Just give us a bit of an overview, because for those people who may not know you, most people do.
Yeah.
But
thanks so much, Simon. What a beautiful day to be doing this. I'm a little bit dark. Hope people can see me all right. It's not my suntan. I think it's the lighting. 27 years recruitment experience. Started out the S3 group, was their worldwide top biller on contract. Placed thousands of contractors there. Was billing £1 million a year and built teams. Loved it at S3. It was a great training ground. Set up my own business in 2003. Got that to 100 people, 30 million, just under 30 million pounds turnover. 14 awards. Southwest Entrepreneur of the Year, and it was a great business. I sold that through private equity. That was a challenging transaction. I won't go into the details, but a lot of people know what happened there. Came out of that. And then for the last 4 or 5 years, I've helped over 65 recruitment businesses build, scale and grow, predominantly sub 10 brands, like most of the audience I would have thought in size. And I've got a podcast and do lots of stuff on LinkedIn as well. So yeah, I'm very keen to share some stuff with you.
Thank you very much. And my first question to you relates to the fact you've worked with countless founders. What do most people get wrong when defining their company's vision and mission, and how can they improve that?
Yeah, I think one of the best ways I can demonstrate that is to show you something. But before I do that, I think it's understanding the difference between a mission and a vision. A lot of people don't know what that is. So a vision is internal. So what we're doing internally, we want to go from 1 person to 5 people. We want to go from 100,000 to 5 million. And the mechanics around that. And the mission is what we're doing for our customers. So what's our mission statement? And if I may, I'd like to present sort of how that looks visually and how I would suggest that you guys do it. In a nutshell, it's also the ability to convey what we do in a really clear way, internally and externally, and everyone saying the same thing. So if I flick my screen, hopefully this will work. Yeah, so if I was to ask...
We're not there yet. I can't see the screen.
You can't see the screen? Okay.
No. There we go. That's coming up.
Right.
Cool.
So let me go into my screen again now. Okay.
Yeah, we got you.
Right.
Who we are. Yeah.
So here we are, right. So I asked this question of all my clients and all my prospect clients. If I was to ask you, the audience, what your business is and does, could you say that in one clear sentence? And a lot of the answer is no, or it's slightly different. So one of the first things I think that's important to get right here is being able to articulate what your business is and does in one clear sentence. Then it's a bit of a potted history of your business to give it some sort of credibility and some sort of provenance, if you like. And if you're a 1-person brand, that's fine, but you might have 4 or 5 people, but it's important that you convey to your clients, I think, that you're big enough to deliver and small enough to care. So you might want to put 1 or 2 people on there, so you're creating the perception of a management team, so you're not just a 1-person band. Timeline. So what I like about this statement here, from 2 people working from an office with no windows to perfect positioning as one of the future top global tech recruitment companies. What I think that provides is a bit of a human touch, a bit of a DNA, a bit of a personality into who you are. As we know, the market now, when we were doing it, it was all about how big your database was and how many people you got. But people are buying from people now. Small firms are actually opening up big accounts, but people, even clients, they want to have a feel of the human nature of your business. So what's different about you? What's unique about you? That's important to convey. A bit of a timeline of, some of the highlights in your business. You might have stayed profitable through COVID, open up a new office. And as I've said, that's kind of like, we move on to the mission. The mission is the external statement. So do you have a compelling statement and a vision of what you want to do with your customers? So it might be to be the world's or the UK's or Europe's most predominant X, Y, and Z company. But it's important that you understand that and be able to articulate that. And who knows what we're doing in 5 years' time? God knows. But I think if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. You have to map this out. So whether you do 3 years or 5 years, it's really important to map out these kind of things and have accurate forecasts. And this is what I help with as well. It's breaking that down and have a sense of achievement. So if you're one person or 3 person or 5 people, have these visible. When you're hitting these targets, reward yourself and run it like a business. And this is the difference between kind of being in survive mindset and being in thrive mindset. And we'll talk about this a bit more in what I call a 90-day plan, where have a destination, have a dream, have something to aspire to, and start to think strategically rather than just where's your next deal coming from. I think that's really important. And obviously, if you wanted to grow a big company, map your company. So imagine if you presented this in an interview to somebody, they're more likely to want to join you because it's not just your vision, it's our vision. So in answer to your question, it's bringing other people into this vision as well, and believing it, and not just copying other people. What's unique about your vision to you? And then career development plans are quite important. Mapping that out and making sure people have got roadmaps. And I'm sure you've all seen these before, but I've got documents for this. But if you've got 2 or 3 people there, yes, that money is important to them, but also it's what's the next step. What are their promotion criterias, promoting on competencies, that kind of stuff. Again, this is nothing new, but I think often this isn't given the respect it's deserved. And values. I think this is one of the most important things, right? Because if we look at 100 different websites, 95 of them will say probably the same thing, integrity, purpose. But when you actually delve into this exercise and start basing your decisions on your values, trust me, you start to get better clients, you make better decisions, and you start to win good quality business as well. And you start to enjoy it. And we came up with Real for this example. So I would definitely advise that you spend a lot of time looking at your values, not just putting them on the wall on the website, but actually when you're hiring somebody, has this person got respect? Is this person engaged? Am I accountable? And use the values to almost question yourself and on your decisions as well. And it's like your guiding compass. The markets, we're going to move on in a bit more detail about the importance of specializing and mapping out your markets. I'm not a fan of generalist recruitment. I know sometimes we have to do it, but in this market, in any market, being a specialist and actually acting in that way is really important. So mapping out your market in a vertical and horizontal way, and demonstrating this to your clients, which is what we're going to do as well. We're going to talk about how to demonstrate this externally to your customers, but having a real plan about your markets, and then what is the size of your opportunity, and then kind of like why work for us. So if I stop sharing that now, there's like a framework there, Simon, about how I think a good vision and mission should look.
That's cracking. That was the most comprehensive answer one of these sessions has had for the first question. Well done. I don't need to ask you the second question I had lined up because you've done it. I want to move on to a go-to-market strategy. A lot of these businesses are startups, they're ready to go. Could you break down what makes a strong go-to-market statement in today's competitive market? And then I always do a second question. Sorry about that. Just to throw stuff in. What separates an effective one from the rest? What makes a strong go-to-market statement?
Well, I think simplicity. I think if you don't understand it, no one else will. Or if 2 or 3 people are saying different things, then everyone else is going to be saying different things. So simplicity, specialism, and your ability to convey it. Are you solving a problem? Are you solving a pain point? And without being too visual on this, I'm going to show you another visual representation of this, if I may, on how I think we should do it. So let me just do that. I'll answer the question hopefully a little bit quicker this time, but we'll see. There we go.
There's a bit of a delay, isn't there, on it? That's all.
Yeah. Has that come up, Simon?
No, not yet, but I think there's a delay on it. Here we go. It's coming.
Right. So this is kind of like an external version of what I've sort of just articulated. At the end of the day, flashy brochures are one thing, but something like this, I think, carries so much weight when you're trying to pitch a client, you're trying to demonstrate your capability and your worth. I call it a capability statement. So the go-to-market strategy capability statement, right? So, based on myself, your company, who you are, what we do, maybe some examples of the clients you've worked with, some of your strap lines here. But also, I think it's like demonstrating things like how long you've been going, where we've done it, the number of hires, maybe a quote from one of your clients as well. I think that's really, really important. But trust and efficiency. So for every CV that we send, we make a hire. We've got a 99% CV to interview ratio. So back up your capability and what you're saying with evidence and data. Okay, and then go a bit further. Human. We value our candidates' feedback. So this particular example, 74% of our candidates scored as world class. 80% of our business is repeat business. We listen, we care, we understand. So, I mean, these documents, I think are liquid. But then we go a little bit deeper. So, for example, if you're a financial services recruiter, you can't say you're a financial services specialist unless you break it down. So, demonstrate what you've done in particular segments of your market. So you might have done some great stuff in insurance, or you might have done some great stuff in banking, but be specific about your go-to-market strategy around, for this particular client, we did this, for this in sales and marketing. So it's breaking it down. Where I think we go wrong is we say we're specialists, right? And then, we don't actually convey it. So I think hopefully that kind of answers it. And then, we go in a bit more detail, tell them about what you actually do, the difference between retained, exclusive, contingent and or any other services that you offer, and meet the team as well. So does that answer that enough for you, Simon? Or
Yeah. What I like about that is that people don't read much, but even from the word go with that yellow background, what we do, people will read three words in one sentence or a statement. People will read one small paragraph, and then you're evidencing that with the referencing from clients on the other side. That gives the whole thing credibility and backs up the statement. So
absolutely, and I think
cool.
Sort of going into when we pitch our clients, I think more often than not we forget to mention who we've done it with and where we've done it from, and I think that adds so much weight, right?
Yeah. Now I have to ask a question, because I'm by the seaside. Is it your seagulls that are making noises, or is it mine?
It's definitely the seagulls here in Bristol, mate. You get used to them after a while.
Okay. Right. I've got. If we move on, You're going to be sharing your ultimate go-to-market toolkit. What's one tool from it? Or you don't have to answer this now, because I might be stealing the thunder. But maybe I'll answer that later. What tool from it that consistently makes the biggest impact for founders or sales leaders?
Well, my toolkit is a combination of 10 different things. I've shown you 2 of them.
I think,
but I, there's probably something called, it's more kind of an internal plan of how to build out your business. I think it's I'll tell you what, why don't I just show you
do that.
What I would call a weekly
evidence
plan.
it, as we would say. Evidence it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it's really important that we look at time and task management. So let me show you this.
Yeah, cool. You see, folks, I've caught him out here. We didn't plan this. I'm throwing stuff at him, and he's bouncing off me. So he's doing very well. We didn't have time to prep for this, so it's much better if it's dynamic. Thank you.
So has that come up?
It will do. You know what happens? It's 2 or 3 seconds later.
Sorry about this, guys. It's a little bit.
No, don't worry. That's StreamYard for you. It does take a little bit longer. Are we there? Yeah, it's coming. There we go.
So
And
this,
actually, I don't know whether you can do it, but in the bottom right of my screen, because you're on a small screen at the moment, you can make the screen maximum, everyone. If you can, then you
right.
can see much easier what Chris is presenting. So look for that little square, and you can open it up to a
Yeah.
full screen. Cool.
So
You're right.
this is more of what I would call a robust business development plan, and the best way for me to talk you through it, I can talk you through it, but is show you it. So now, specking out CVs isn't the be all and end all, but I always believe that if you send the right candidate to the right manager in the right way, you're always going to get an outcome. So this whole concept came to me when a Java consultant said to me, Chris, I'm specking out Java candidates to everybody, and I'm not really getting anywhere. And I said, what, you're specking out Java candidates to everybody? And he said, yes. And I said, well, put yourself in the hiring manager's shoes. I'm a hiring manager. I work in a fintech business and I take on Java people. You're sending me Java people. So I might be interested. But if you start sending me Java people that works at 3 or 4 of my fintech competitors, I'm definitely going to be interested. So going back to the other documents I've sent, it's really important. It shouldn't be, oh, hi, it's Chris here from Base Mindset. We're a specialist Java consultancy or whatever market you're doing. When you're speaking, even when you're speaking to your candidates, it's Chris here from Recruitment Limited. We're a specialist Java consultancy, particularly operating in the fintech space. We're working with the likes of Fintech Company 1, Fintech Company 2. I've got your CV in front of me. It's exactly the sort of CV I know a few of my clients who want to interview. My objective is to get you in front of some of these clients. How does that sound? By sort of name dropping and going a bit more specific, what you're then doing is enabling yourself to get that credibility, get that confidence, get that knowledge, but also get the leads and information.
Yeah.
And then we're mapping out the top 30 fintech clients from the CVs that you've spoken to. You're saying, oh, you worked at Fintech Company 2. Who did you report to there? Get the names. And so what this person decided to do was spend a couple of weeks just immersing himself in a segment of his market. Understood the projects, the people, the players, and then week 2 he did it, and then after 90 days he had the top 30 kind of managers, 3 to 5 managers in each. We came up with a sequencing system of LinkedIn, video, voice note, and spec. He found on the third or 4th touch point, he always got a result, and he found that he became a lot more confident in his pitch to his clients. Right, so I'll take it off now. It was. And pitching these clients in exactly the same way. So in answer to your question, the go-to-market is almost thinking about using your knowledge to your as your power, and conveying to your customers where you've done it, who you've done it with, and name-dropping competitors. And kind of, so that's not revolutionary, but then making sure that in 90 days' time, you're mapping out the market in the right way. You're hitting as many customers as possible, and you've got a bit of a plan.
Yeah. I love it. A few years ago when I was in logistics, our pitch was, you won't have heard of us, but you will have heard of all our clients. I was pitching to Waitrose, and I said we work with M&S, we work with Tesco, we work with Next, and it raised it. Then they get listening. Your credibility from no brand suddenly becomes you're feeding off the brand. The people that are my competitors, so it's really powerful.
I love that, because we can talk to a blue in the face about how great we are as a business, but ultimately the client wants to know what you've done, where you've done it, and how you've done it, and that's it.
How business development and market mapping. How should an early stage business approach market mapping when resources perhaps are limited? It might be a solo, or it might be a partnership.
Well, I think that there's a lot of gold in speaking to candidates. So you don't necessarily need that much tech. I would, instead of trying to be financial services across the world, pick a segment, maybe fintech or whatever it might be, pick a segment of the market, a niche market, go in with that credibility piece where even if you haven't worked with some of these customers, when you say you're working with them, they might be in your database, and the candidate's not going to know. Go in with that specificity, go in with that knowledge. The more knowledge and the more name-dropping competitors you get, the more confidence you get. CV strip, get information from candidates, find out where they're interviewing, build out a top 30 list in different segments, and treat BD as not this newfandangled amazing thing you must do on Thursday afternoon, every single day, every single call. Have a lead generation focus. So I think it's going back to basics. I think it's LinkedIn is good enough. There's enough information there. And I would be specking out a good quality candidate to a top 30 every single week. They're following that up with a phone call. So really, you need a phone, email address, and LinkedIn. Really.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And I was going to say, in your experience, what's the most underused or misunderstood business development strategy that every founder should?
I think it is this. It's doing the basics consistently. I love some of the tech that we've got. I think it's brilliant, but actually it enables us to get in front of more candidates and clients more quickly. But we haven't got the salespersonship to do that. So I think it's the phone, actually, to be honest, and it's having a plan and be doing every day.
Being resilient and consistent and disciplined.
Yeah,
I think it's tough. It's quite good to be when you're on the osmosis of an office with 20 people, 50 people, 10 people.
Yeah,
it's quite good. Everyone's focused on some results. You've got people around you who are the companionship is uplifting for some dynamism and also some productivity. But when you're on your own as a startup, it's tricky to have. You've got those distractions. Or I should just set up my website. I should put a post on LinkedIn. But that I think that's
absolutely. And we get taken away by the next shiny thing, the whole LinkedIn thing. But I think the answer is, what are the 3 to 5 most important things I must do today to generate business?
Which brings me on to your 90-day plan and execution. So if you can give us a bit of an overview on the 90-day plan and what advice would you give to people to stick to that with the everyday pressures I've just related to it of the business startup to distract.
Of course. I always believe that until you can visualize where you're going, you won't get there. So that weekly plan that I showed you, that spreadsheet, is almost like imagining yourself in 90 days time where you're getting leads, you're getting information, you're adding new contacts. That weekly plan, you're starting to do deals and business, and you think, all right, so how does that feel? How are you acting? So it's kind of like putting yourself into that frame of mind and that belief system. Imagine you're knocking in 3 or 4 deals a month. So that's one of the first things, and then it's about, from there it will be, if I show you again, it will be, this is the actual 90-day plan itself. What are the top 3 priorities I want to achieve in the next 90 days? Let me just get this up here a second.
Everyone's getting used to the delay, so don't worry about that. Tech will work. It'll come up in a sec. Cool.
And it's about moving away from Thrive mindset to Survive mindset to Thrive mindset. Let me find this. There it is. So as I said, it's about being intentional. Let me know when that comes up, please, Simon.
Here we go. And
this is the 90-day plan. So this is about being intentional with everything we do. As I say, visualizing ourselves in the next 90 days. We're knocking in 3 or 4 deals a month. We're stepping into our power. We're winning business. Everything's going really well. How does that feel? How are you acting? What the behavior? What project you? So that might be a little bit woo-woo, Simon, but I think there's a real amount of power in believing, thinking, and feeling that. What do you think?
I don't think you should underestimate the importance of that, because as a startup, there's a load of self-doubt when things don't happen immediately, and you get internal stress about, how am I going to pay the mortgage? What if I don't do these deals? What this was a great idea and it's invigorating to run my own business, but what if comes flooding in? If you don't, you need to, if you can be resilient, put those shoulders back, sit straight, and go, right, discipline, let's get on with this.
Absolutely. I think, and that's about controlling the controllables, isn't it? That's about we can still control what we think, say, feel, and do, and take action on that. And that's about keeping it simple. So it's a mindset game, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a bit more. So once we're in that kind of frame of mind where we can visualize the best version of ourselves in 3 months, knocking in 3 or 4 deals a month, then we say to ourselves, I would do this with you guys if you wanted me to. What are the top 3 priorities in the business? It might be to open up a new account. It might be to add new contacts. It might be to do 4 deals a month, for example. So as we all know, once we start writing stuff down, it's a lot more effective. And then we start thinking about, so this is, again, getting you to kind of zoom out. So the founders that I work with, they normally come to me because I class them as 100% transactional. And that sounds good, but actually it's not. We need to be at least 20% transformational. So zooming out, have a bit of strategy. Hang on a second, where am I now? What do I need to do? So the top 3 priorities, the most common one that comes up is probably, I want to do 4 deals a month. So then we work backwards and we say, well, look, you want to do 4 deals a month. Looking at your data, you take 3 interviews to make a placement, so we need to do 12 interviews. You take 4 CVs to make an interview, so we need to do 48 interviews. And we just work backwards. So, and we work out, oh, right, so if I do 120 touch points, I'll get 12 leads, and then you're measuring that on a weekly basis. Again, this is not revolutionary, but this method works much better than at the end of the month doing an autopsy when it's too late. So set really clear weekly, 4 or 5 weekly things. I want to get 3 leads, 4, whatever it might be, and then you can guarantee the outcomes. And then what's great, so this is your opportunity to talk about what works really well. Then we talk about what you can improve on, what are your marginal gains. Marginal gains might be, this week, I'm going to ask every single candidate where they're interviewing. Maybe something like that, I don't know. And then the business development in detail, what are your key clients, the challenges, lead generation. So it's almost like a monthly review, but on a quarterly basis. And I would advise that you get someone external in, whether it's me or someone else, or to do this with you. So you're accountable as well. I think it's really important. Candidate management, there's different. Are we getting leads from candidates? Are we using them in the right way, as I talked about before? One bad habit you're going to remove. Now we've all got a few of them, but let's be honest with ourselves. And then we kind of talk about rating ourselves on areas of the business that are important, and be honest about it. But I like this bit at the end where it says accountability. How accountable are we? And usually, if we're honest, we're probably 5, 6. So it's that kind of stuff, I think. That and then we would go through that every few weeks.
I think that's one of the things that I think startups miss the opportunity for. They think I can do this when they're filing, registering at Companies House or getting their website together. But when they start, all the challenges become pretty damn big, and it compress on them. And having a third party who can be really objective about what you want to do, when you're going to do it, and challenging people on that. I mean, it really defines focus for that startup and that individual or a partnership. Really stick to the goal. This is what you wanted to do. Let's go back to that. And you're reminding them how important that strategy is, as well as those tactics you said.
I mean, my clients absolutely. I was, when I first started to become a NED, I was quite surprised at how welcoming NEDs were, or business owners were, to be accountable. Actually, everyone wants purpose and accountability, even though we're CEOs and business. It's brilliant. As an example, I go to the gym with my PT 4 times a week, and I feel accountable to him. It's kind of like there's no shame in that. In fact, it's a real strength, I think, to have that.
Yeah, and it's a shame that more don't do that, because painfully, I think it's about 40 to 50% of startups fail in the first year, 18 months. And we've had 4,500 startups this year in recruitment, in 2 SIC codes, in perm and temp. And, we track them every day. And there were 21 started yesterday in perm alone. And I've contacted 5 or 6 of those because I think they could make it, because they're experienced recruiters. They've been a good employee, and they know how to do the job. They might not know how to run a business, but so that's perhaps where people like us and you could help those. But that's so we try and contact those and de-risk that for them. But if it's great to have someone on your shoulder going, no, don't do that. You said you were going to do that, and you haven't. I think having a mentor from day one, or a coach from day one, is key. Otherwise, why do you still need a coach? You know what you're going to do in the gym, but you know that coach is going to enhance your performance.
I wouldn't go half the Well,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's that consistency. And my clients say that is knowing they've got a meeting with me tomorrow. Almost like it forces them to go, right, I better do it. And it just gets you into those habits, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
So,
We've touched upon this, so we might not need to do it, because the next question I had was mindset and sustainable growth, and we've sort of covered a bit of that. You place a strong emphasis on mindset in your coaching. Just can you expand? What are some of the most common mindset pitfalls that come up?
well, I think I'll try and I can't phrase it any other way. Almost a lack of gratitude or awareness of how lucky we are to be in a position to run our own business. I mean, I don't think it will take an incredible offer for me to ever go back into paid employment, with the greatest respect to people who are in employment. So the cost of our freedom, I find it invaluable. Yes, it's stressful. Yes, we have to, paint the ceiling one day and be a brother another day and a counsellor another day and be a BD person the next day. But we are in control. So it's, for me, the mindset is of gratitude. I'm in control of my destiny. I have the autonomy to do what I want. I'll put a very, very high price on that. And then my mindset is all of a sudden, right, so I'm in control of this. What I do is what I get out. And I thrive on that. So I think people just almost, they expect, because they're a business owner, they expect it to happen. You've got to work hard. You've got to do it as well,
When you verbalize that, it's quite empowering to remind people that they've taken this brave step, and actually they're in control now. And what they do, they are their own limitation if they're not careful. So. And if they're, if they have amazing dreams and visions, as long as they put in the work and think about strategically what they're going to do tactically, they can definitely get there. And I like the way you've made the steps visual for them, so that they can achieve that, or at least they can question the challenge anyway.
I also realise that, I've got a big personal brand. I get clients phoning me up all the time. Clients wanting my time, and I've got 27 years experience, but it's a tough market. I still make sure I business develop every day or every week, because I know the moment I think I've won and I've got it, I haven't. So it's that kind of mentality. Even when I had a 100-person business, I felt as if my people weren't working for me. I was working for them, because the more support I can give them, the better. So I think it's that. Sometimes I think we do get a little bit of delusions of grandeur. We're CEO of what? Of ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like. Have you got an example where a mindset shift helped one of your founders or your team move from sort of burnout to balance and get measurable growth? Have you been able to?
Yeah.
Have you got stories? That would be good.
Quite a few. I think I've worked with about 25 or 30 different solopreneurs and other people with that sort of size business, where they lacked purpose, they lacked direction, they lacked motivation. They're almost depressed because they couldn't see, they didn't have a vision. And all of those, there's several examples on my LinkedIn, but a few recent clients have gone from billing nothing to being 30-40 grand a month. But generally, the feedback I'm getting is their purpose is back, their mojo is back. I'm not necessarily teaching them stuff they don't already know, but it's getting them back on the tracks and finding what's important. So there's tangible evidence in pound notes, but there's also kind of purpose and motivation evidence that they just start to fall back in love with the game again,
We've seen, rather painfully, we've seen quite a few failures in the whole market across our own membership org team, but we share, I share stories with the other recruitment networks, and they've really suffered with failures this year. And it's people slightly losing their way. I've had a few. You used a phrase there. One of teams, I won't mention the name, but one of team's really good recruitment businesses. When I joined team back in 2012, I would counsel this individual on guidance when I was learning my trade, and she closed the business last year, and she said, "I've lost my mojo. I can't do this anymore." And you just felt it was almost too late then, and it had happened. But it is.
I think where I've won, if you want, is I'm quite a vulnerable person. I'll be open about that. I've been on LinkedIn. I'm quite, although I've done loads of great things, I think often we can improve the branding, the marketing, the operations, the weekly plan, all that stuff I've gone through. But actually, is looking at ourselves and being the CEO of our life. What I mean by that is often I have conversations with, what's your diet like? What's your exercise like? What's your routine like? Do you do meditation? Whatever it might be, and kind of like getting them to understand that actually the next best thing you can do for your work might be going for a walk. So it's more the holistic thing about sometimes putting all your effort into the business isn't the right thing. Taking a step back and looking at your life is massive, right?
Yeah. One of our friends, Joe Major, put a comment in: when you have gratitude, you respect your business more.
Yeah, totally, and your life as well. Your whole life. So exactly. As I say, there's people that are working in recruitment firms, stuck in there because they can't get out. And they feel trapped. And I'm not saying one is easier than the other, but I wouldn't swap.
We're in a lovely privileged position because we can help businesses that have ambition to grow by finding them talent. And the one dynamic that makes a difference to any business is the talent that you can give to that business, that all of a sudden the ROI starts to change or the productivity changes or whatever. And you can change someone's career by finding them a job, not just getting them another job. So
I love that.
It's pretty fulfilling without the money side of it.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
You chuck money in too, and that is totally fulfilling.
That's fine. Just to interrupt on that one, just to finish that point. One of the things I ask, sorry to interrupt you there, I ask my clients are, who are you? And they'll say recruitment consultants. And I'll say, well, no, we're much more than that. We're offering solutions to clients that can transform their projects and their success, and also people's lives. And I think that sounds a little bit over the top. Actually, this is what annoys me about the recruitment sector. Actually, what we're doing is very, very valuable.
Yeah,
it's not just putting bum on a seat, is it?
And actually, if we look internally, when I was running my business and probably when you were running yours, the absolute dynamic that changed when we hired someone that was amazing, the whole business added something to it.
Yeah.
So the hiring of good talent internally for me was critical, absolutely critical. So we'd be exhaustive in our process for interviewing people and qualifying them and giving them a trial day and doing a disc profile on them and seeing if they fit in with the rest of the team. And they added some dynamic. We didn't, the difference was good. They didn't have to be the same. So I don't want to upset Joe Major because she loves the dynamic of different people adding some value, not just having the same clones in a business.
Sure.
But finding the right talent was completely the dynamic that worked for me with principal people. And I guess building a 100-person business is astonishing. So what was it like? What was your recruitment process for finding your people?
I love what you said there. This statement of culture fit is very archaic and very one-dimensional. So we're a culture ad. Yes, there are certain attributes you want to have. It needs to be dynamic, it needs to be go-getty, and all this kind of stuff. We had a range of different personalities, and it was built on trust and autonomy. But we hired people that were better than us in certain areas. We understood our own limitations as directors and owners. I was more the driver of the business. I wasn't particularly good at the back office stuff, and so it's kind of that. But it went back to that vision and mission and values. We were very, very hot on where we're going, very hot on the basics, and all the stuff I've just shown you is what we did. So it's doing the basics, having the vision, and also not asking someone to do something we're not prepared to do ourselves. So although I was the CEO, I sat in the middle of the office and I was doing deals. So it's that kind of, which engendered that culture as well. So it's all that kind of stuff. And this is the other point. You as a CEO founder, you knock in a few deals and you think that's it. And I think you've always got to be practicing what you preach, I'd say. Yeah,
good. I'm going to move to some reflection now. what's one challenging but essential question every founder or sales leader should be asking themselves to future-proof their business?
Yeah.
They might be thinking internally there,
Yeah.
and you might have covered a little bit themselves, but
Well, I think it goes back to that transactional versus transformational. So
okay.
what 20% of my makeup am I doing that's going to transform the business, not just keep it going? So that kind of stuff, I think.
And if someone were to walk away from this session and put just one thing into action, what should it be?
I think again, it's lowering the ego, being grateful for who you are, and doing the basics consistently. That involves you having to pick up the phone and getting your hands dirty. So again, that's not anything new. It's doing the basics.
That's fantastic. And Chris, you've done some wonderful sessions for us. I saw you in Bristol face to face.
Yeah.
With a very inspired group of our team from the West Country and Wales. We challenged them, didn't we, to put some things into action? And I know that from feedback I've had directly that some people have done that with your 90-day plan.
Oh, brilliant. Right.
They're seeing significant changes in their pipeline, how they feel, how confident they are about the future of their business, even in this current market, which is challenging. So how are your clients approaching what we see as a challenging market at the moment? We've got 34,000 recruitment companies trading in the UK, and less jobs than we've had for years. I think 730,000 live perm jobs now. 2 and a bit years ago, there were 1.2 million. So there's the same amount of recruitment companies out there. There might be less people in those companies, but we're still chasing less jobs. How are your people doing? I
totally agree with that summary. So I would prefer someone to work on 4 or 5 quality jobs with control versus 100 that you're dealing with not dealing with decision makers. So it's being very ruthless with the roles that we're working on, qualifying the process, not just the job. So if you're not comfortable with pitching or qualifying retained, which I can help you with, or getting exclusive, it's trying to get interview slots, trying to get job control. So grading the jobs, there's different ways to skin the cat on the retainer. You can do a nominal retainer, but one of the things I'd say to them is that are you dealing with a decision maker? Do you have interview slots? When you're on the phone to the client, say that what I'm going to do now is send you an email with our service level agreement of when you're going to interview, when you're going to offer, when you're going to pay. Lay out a schedule of the process. So, and if the client's not willing to commit to certain levels of interviews or interview feedback and that kind of stuff, question whether it's worth working on that role and go and find a client that is. So less is more, being specialist. And I'm not saying contingent is dead, but building proper partnerships with clients and being there, we're doing lots of talent acquisition stuff, but, that kind of stuff. So more control, better quality business.
That's grand. Are you seeing any of your clients productizing what they offer? And you mentioned retained, but is anyone doing anything differently, either on mini RPO or selling different types of services?
I think more retained on contract statement of works is getting big. People are winning projects rather than just that. But I think what I would call talent acquisition, where they're getting clients to pay them a small monthly retainer of 2 or 3 grand a month, and they're offsetting the cost of the hires at a reduced fee. So they're almost acting as a talent partner and extension of that, which is, a great way to beat a sort of downturn. You've got consistent revenue then that way,
Yeah, that's cool. That's really good. All right. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for attending episode 5, the final one of our startup program. All those programs will be available for viewers if by application to the team at HQ. So drop us a line. Jahish has just put a link in the chat for you to access those. Chris, thank you very much for all you do for us at Team.
Thank you, mate.
With you again in the future, and great to see you today.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers for now. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you.